Okay, so when you're working with lists and tuples, you can use something called in. And in is basically if something is in the list, then we can do something with that using an if statement, for example. So look at this example, all right? So we're going to ask a user to give us some input, and then we're going to store that input into a variable. So I just want a basic string, and we're going to ask someone to type in their username, okay? But we want that not just to be a string, we want it to be an input. So it prompts them to type something in the box. So let's just run that. Okay, so it's asking us for a username. That's great. So we can do the same thing again, only this time we're going to create a variable called password, which is also going to be an input. And this time, in quotes, we're going to ask them for the password. Okay, so we run that. What's your username? Type something in, press enter. What's the password? Type something in, press enter. Pretty straightforward. Now, what we need to do now is create a list of people's usernames and passwords. Okay, now this is a pretty terrible example. You wouldn't normally do something like this, but I just want you to see how this in works. So what I want to do here is I want to create a list. But inside that list, I want to group a couple of things together. So I'm going to use brackets inside brackets. So the first thing I want is John. So that's the username. And the second thing for this person is going to be the password. So we can just go for something like that. All right, so what we've got so far is a list that contains John and Secret bracketed together so we know that they are, they belong to the same person. Now we do the same thing again here. So we open some brackets, and inside quotes separated by a comma is the second person's details. So we've got Jane, and Jane's password is, just go for password, right? And then comma, and then the third person, same deal again, quotes, comma, quotes. All right, so in this one we might have Linda, and Linda's password is ABC123. Okay, nice, easy, pretty straightforward. So we've got three users with a username and a password, and they're linked together. Right, now how do we use if? So if, what we want to do now is say username, comma, password. So both of these inputs are in users. Okay, then we tell it what to do. So we've asked for some input, we've asked for some more input. So if username and password is in this list of users, so if we find John and Secret, Jane and password, Linda and ABC123, then we want it to tell us, then that's fine. Okay, so we can print. Now I'm going to use one of these string formats that I mentioned earlier on. So I'm going to put the F in there. I'm going to say hi, and then I'm going to use these squiggly brackets to format my string. Okay, so I've got hi username, then your details are correct. All right. Okay. So I've got something printed, but I've used this format. If you can't remember what this is, again, go to W3 Schools and just Google it. Okay, now if that's not true, I need to tell it what to do. So I want else. All right. And I want it to print, well, no, your password's wrong. I'm sorry, you can't come in. Okay. So wrong username or password. Okay. Try again. Something like that. All right, pretty straightforward. So we can see if this works now. So what's my username? Mike. What's my password? Hello. Wrong username and password. Okay, and then the program ends because at this point, I haven't put it in a function or anything. So that's just it. So let me run that again. So this time I'm going to try John, and I'm going to try the password secret. Hi, John. Your details are correct. Why? Because I input John, I input secret, and that username and that password are in users, which is this list here. And so it says, yeah, you're all good.